Let's get started.
Okay, hello everyone. This is Moira Zellner with Dean Massey and Anton Roskovs quietly in the background. We're the UDVL team. I don't know if Jae-Young is also here. He might be, I don't know, maybe
I don't
not.
think so.
No, he may not be. But we are part of the UDVL team supporting your work for outreach for the Census 2020, if you don't know us yet. And we are holding these weekly tutorials to help you learn how to use some of the tools that we developed to both report activities, but also some of the mapping tools that we built for to guide your work, trying to identify where response rates might be lower than projected or expected, and what are the characteristics in those places and how that information can guide your activity and see the impact of your activity in those areas. Today, what we're going to focus on, since we're going to be starting with a new grant period starting in July, I suppose, right? There might be some, new organizations coming in that you might want to fold into your work. And so we're going to go over the topics that have to do with onboarding new users to the reporting platform. And how do you do more like administrative things, like managing organizations, tracking progress, how do you set goals for your organization? How do you use dashboards effectively to help you figure out what's going on relative to those goals? And how to make sense of all the data that the platform provides in terms of who's working, how many activities are there, like what kinds, and so on and so forth. So with that, I'll pass it on to Dean, who is the guru on all these things. And so, take it on from here, please.
Okay.
Oh, but by the way, though, like just some organizational things, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll make sure to go. Oh, there is sound. Lyndon is having problems with her sound. Oh, I don't know. I didn't respond to her.
Yeah, so we will go over the questions at the end if they're broader issues.
Yeah.
But if they're related to what we're talking about in this tutorial, then we can try to answer them at that time.
Right. Exactly. So
yeah,
sorry, I was responding to Lyndon.
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
But yeah, so go ahead.
And then at the end, we will get to other issues that you might have. Like we have a question about some of the mapping, so we can answer more of those things at the end too. But feel free to get them all now. We'll go back and try to make sure we get them all. And then if for some reason we miss you, feel free to unmute and say something.
Yes, don't leave without speaking up if you need to.
Yeah, or if we didn't cover it thoroughly enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started. So we expect we'll be seeing some new users when we get new subs, and to help you organize all that, we have a lot of information on the site already. So let me show you some of those resources, and also then how you can send people and users to one of these pages. So let me go to the main homepage again. I'm going to click on resources, using a platform, administration. And so one of these pages here is an overview of how to get on the platform, which includes registration. There's a video here that explains it too. So if someone hasn't used this at all, they'll need to register. I'm going to open this in an incognito window so you can see what you would do. So they can register here. They click on that, create a username, enter an address, passwords, numbers, and everything else. So some people use addresses that don't always like their work one. That's fine. It just has to be an address that they can verify later if they want to get full functionality of the program, like including moderating reports or taking data off the platform later. And so if you want to join to an organization, join when they register, an administrator can send them a link. So I'm going to go to, this is not a live version of the site. So I'm going to be using this version today. It's exactly the same as the other one, but I'll be making some changes. It won't affect organizations that I'm creating reports for or anything. I just want to be able to show you live things, but if you're happen to be affiliated with one of the organizations I'm creating reports for, don't worry about it. You won't see them. So if you're an RI, what you can do is, this account I joined to Adjust Harvest. It's the first one alphabetically. That's why I'm picking on them. So I'm going to click an organization from Organizations tab, going to click on Users, and if you click on that invitation information, the link here, if you copy that and send that in an email, it will, let's just go to that link. Oops, well, I'm already logged in here. So anyway, what you would see though, there would be a join code already filled in on here. And what the join codes do, if it's entered correctly, it will automatically join the user account with the existing organization on the platform. So you don't have to fill this in now. You can just have them create an account, and then later, once they're created, you can add them to the account. And so let me go back here. And so if you're an administrator, what you can do then is click on this button, search for the username, and then add it. Or if you're just want to join a new organization, if the person on their own finds it, they can go to organizations and then click on join an organization at the top here. And then they enter the name of the organization. They'll have to get the user join code from the administrator, and I can show you where that is again here. So I'm clicking on an organization, then clicking on users, and invitation information. Again, the code is here. This one has a very simple one. And then once a user requests to join, they would see that under moderation tab. So on the left-hand side of the moderation, we'll talk more about this later too. And then an administrative organization would approve or deny a request to join. So even if they have information for the join code, they still have to enter it. But if they have the join code in there when they register, then that's automatic.
So Dean, very quickly, because there was a question from Carl here. I just want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. Each RI sub-organization can list then several people who can update on the platform rather than one person doing it all, correct? There can be several users per sub.
Yeah, let's we'll get to that in a minute for the next portion for the moderation. We're almost there though. I'm just going over this joining and creating stuff pretty quickly, and I will point you again to more on that website about this. And so that's the basics for creating an account and joining it. And then back to the website on so there's the video here you can have people look at. It's only a few minutes long. And then there's some other questions here. Let me go back, or actually click on resources again. I will go to a frequently asked questions page, so using a platform. So there's more information right here about joining, pairing, and managing organizations. There's a video explaining how to do the joining and pairing. And these are guides for how you can do it too. And then creating the organization, if you do get new subs, there's information about how to do that here. But to show you how to do it on the site very quickly, I'm just going to click on Organizations tab and then create an organization. And then you have to create that name here. You create a join code here. Try to make it something simple. You can always change it later, but it's good just to have like a short, simple code. The pairing code, you can leave this blank. And then there's a button here for join organization upon creation. This should you would automatically be joined anyway. And if you create an organization, then the person who creates it is an administrator. And then here down below, there's information about pairing. And so you can enter the RI that it's associated with here. And you have to get the pairing code from the RI administrator. This is different than a join code. And then a moderator for the RI would have to approve that too.
So can we go over very quickly the distinction between the join code and the pairing code, just to make that clear?
Right. So joining is for what you do to connect a user account to an organization on a platform. So every user, let me just click on this one again. So every user here, there's 3 for this one, has to be joined. And then for the association, pairing is what links a user an organization, a sub-organization to a parent RI organization. So in this case, it's Illinois Action for Children Chicago. And if you want to see the pairing codes, you can click on, go to if you're the RI, you go to your organization, you go to associations tab, and then pair a child organization. And you can add an organization this way, and here's the code you would give them to pair the organization. So again, pairing is for sub to RI, and joining is for user to sub or user to RI.
To RI, right. So it's the user, the person with the organization, that's joining. Pairing is organization to organization.
So some of these issues are covered in a frequently asked questions page. So again, you would go through the resources tab. I should do this everything. This is show you what I'm doing. Resources using the platform, and it'll be down here, frequently asked questions. And so this has some entries for explaining the difference between joining and pairing too, and how to do all those. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for the users, the main thing your regular user would be doing is submitting trackers on a platform. And so I'm going to go back to this platform, and everyone here at this point should know this, but this is just a very brief overview for the resources you can give the people to help them do this. So they would click on the submit activity tracker page. There is this outreach reporting guide here, and this has how to report in detail, like the tracker type, how to enter the location, and then the steps to complete the survey. And these match with the surveys on a platform. And so you can search here to find type of outreach, like maybe it's emails, different options, including those keywords, how to do them. And once you figure out what tracker they need to do, what they need to do to enter it into the program, they can go back to the platform. Let's say it was like doing a social media post, and then from that they learned it was direct engagement. It would give you instructions for how to do this. We don't need to go here through this in very much detail, but just remembering the key factors for all trackers. So making sure to have a mappable location. I know we've talked about this many times, but it really is important. And so if you have even a virtual activity, when you select no virtual location, you have to enter some kind of description. And this needs to be something that's mappable. So you can't do something like Southern Cook County, but you can say Cook County, or you can say like Maywood, or name of a suburb, or name of a neighborhood if it's in Chicago. You can actually even have a street address, but think of it as something you'd have to put into a Google Maps, and then you could like actually go to that place. And also, one thing you really should encourage your subs to do is to submit the activity trackers in a timely manner. And this is really important, so that way, when you're looking at our maps, and let me go to one of our mapping pages, you'll see the maps, you'll see the outreach show up in a very quickly on our maps. I'll just go to one of these first. I'm just opening up a map for Chicago. I think you all are aware of these maps and what the visualizations are, but all of these dots you're seeing, these are all approved activity trackers, and they're all color coordinated to our eyes. So if you click on them, you can see. So these won't show up until the trackers are approved. And so the subs need to enter their data as soon as possible, and then they need to be approved. I know that there's a tendency for people to wait until the reporting deadline, but if you can enter them as quick as you can and then approve them as quick as you can, making sure that they're accurate, then they'll show up by needs, and then even for the weekly maps. So I'm going to click on the viewer where we're seeing the week by week results for response rates and also for approved activities. And so let's just go toward the most recent one on here, most recent tab. So again, these are all, there's a tab for each week of the census response period. I'm going to go all the way to the end just to illustrate this. Let's just zoom in to like somewhere near Chicago here, like the south suburbs. And scroll down a little bit. So you'll notice that there aren't many trackers showing up for the week that ended on the 18th. But if you go back, let's say, to the end of May, you will see more activities. There's not a whole lot here, but there are some. And there's a lag we're seeing now where if you would see a lot for May here, but if you will see, the closer we get to the reporting deadline, the more trackers you'll see. An advantage of entering them and improving them in a timely manner is you can see what people are doing in more real time. And so like right now, it doesn't look like there is that much happening here, but I guarantee you if you looked at the same exact tab in sort of July, you would see more activities, and that's just because it haven't been reported yet.
So the point here, green here is just like the boundaries of the different RIs.
Yes.
So green, the what color is that? Coral, orange.
I think this is Metropolitan Aris Caucus.
Yeah. So, but the point here is to encourage you all to make sure that that the users who are doing the outreach really use the platform there in real time to report their activity, because these maps, for example, and whatever the platform shows in terms of reporting are only as good as the data that you enter. And if you don't enter the data, we can't see it. And if we can't see it, then you can't make as good sense of like the impact that you're having because your data is not showing. So just make sure that when you train your people to enter activities, that they really use the platform on their phones, on a tablet, on the computer, whatever they have handy, but that they do it right there and then when they actually perform the activity. The platform is designed in a way that it will be, manageable in all of these different devices precisely for that reason, so that you can take it with you and report as you go. So that is what we are reminding you of and encouraging you to tell your subs and your users to do.
And this will make it easier for you for those reporting deadlines, so you don't have to scramble quite as much on the 15th of the month. And so if you do as you go, maybe every day you have a few to approve, but that's definitely better than having hundreds all in one day and then wondering, what is this for? It's hard to keep track of all of that if you're trying to go through so many.
Right.
So even if it's just like, even if you have a few dozen subs, just a few minutes a day is probably all it would take to moderate those, rather than like maybe taking a whole day.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
The benefit of being able to see the results in a better way. It's like here with these maps, it's harder to know like what happened last week if people haven't entered it yet. And so it's harder to say for sure that like maybe this area has low response rates and there's things happening there. But let's say down here where it's hard to know with certainty that really nothing's happened and it's tracked, since it was just last week and people may be approved.
And the other thing is that IDHS is regularly looking at the data on the platform to see what each RI, what the activities under each RI's service area. So again, like you want to make sure that it's the most updated version of the data possible for that reason as well.
Okay, so let's go to some more administrative things on the platform too. So we already talked about pairing, but one of the other things that administrators do is managing the users. And so that's not just about adding users themselves. I'm going to click on adjust harvest again. So if you have a user, actually this all of them are administrators, but you can change the status of users here. So you can click on manage. And on this tab, you can remove a user from the organization. Let's say that you had a temporary employee. You could then, once they're done, you can just remove them from here. I'm not going to do this now. Let me go to organization that has more users. I'll just click on one randomly here. Well,
not that one.
Okay, I'll go to an RI user because they usually have more. Well, okay.
Yeah.
I know when to use now. Okay, there's some of these have a lot of users, and I will go to habilitative systems. Okay.
There you go.
They have a lot of users joined, and so let's say that you wanted to make Ruth an administrator so that they can take a role in monitoring and moderating the reports and all that. Then you can click on its manage, the blue manage thing to the right of their name, and then so you could make them administrator. And so this is not a live version, so I will just do this just so we can see. And in order to see the changes, you have to switch tabs and come back or refresh the page. And now see Ruth has a star. That means she's an admin. And on the right here under roles, you'll see this is a summary of what they are. So RA user, RA admin. And so once you're an admin, you will have this moderation tab show up. And so I just created a few reports here just so there's something here to do. And so you can approve or deny. And so I'm just going to click on this one. I just created this. It's not real. Let's say you're looking at this, you're noticing things you want to check for, making sure that they're submitted to the right organization, especially if you have multiple subs that you're moderating. It might be tricky to keep track of, like, is this the right location? So the organization, the location, the dates, if those look right, and then it's reviewing the type of things on here. So this was just a report for a media tracker and for a PSA that may have aired. And so on a radio. And so I put 1,000. So maybe that's actually small for radio. And so let's say you want to ask the user, was it actually meant to be 1,000? So what you can do then is click on request changes, and then you can enter a message here. So I'm just going to say something like, and now can then hit OK. And since I'm an administrator for the organization that I submit this report to, it's a little different because it'll show up on my feed again. Well, eventually it'll take a few minutes for it to show up though. And so what I could do then is you can go in there and make the changes. Yeah, it can take up to 5 minutes for a tracker to change. So you could then though go into and make the changes or approve or deny it. It'll take some time to go back though. And so this one other report here, I'm just going to approve this. Eventually this would show up in about 5 minutes in the results. And so that's the main thing for moderation for the tracker. It's just to verify information that's in them, whether it's the organization submitted to, the dates, and the kind of activity. Okay, and so
let me stop here for a minute, just pause and ask people if there are any questions about anything that Dean has shown so far.
Okay. One more thing I can show about the moderation too in a minute, whenever. No questions so far?
So far, no.
Okay, so if you want to change what your notifications you're getting, you can click on this bell here in the corner.
Oh,
with stuff.
Sorry, there is a question by Maggie.
Sure.
Can you change? Oh, can you change if you already approved something and you not see that that it was wrong?
We don't have a way to modify it once it's been approved. The moderation is meant to be thorough. If you have quite a number, we may be able to edit them in bulk, but it's not a simple process. So if you have four to six or so, it might be easier to just delete the trackers and resubmit them. And I can show you how to delete them too. That's a great question. So I'm going to click on activity trackers.
Yeah, so Maggie, and for everybody, the rationale for that was that we did not want people to just kind of like, I mean, it's easy, especially when you have, and it's totally understandable, when you have a lot of trackers to approve, to kind of like approve, and not look as carefully. So we built in this feature to actually make it hard for that to happen, so that, you know, each tracker gets the attention of the moderator to make sure that it's okay. Now, that said, there are instances, and it's perfectly fine, that, you know, it needs to be deleted or changed for whatever reason. And so when that happens, you just reach out to us and you let us know.
Yeah, and so you can.
We'll see what makes sense given the situation. What's the best way to do it? If it's like deleting the trackers and redoing them, if there are a few, or if there's like something that can be easily changed that maybe from our side we can do in bulk.
Right. So if you want to delete a tracker, what you can do is go to the organizations tab. And if you know what organization the tracker was submitted to, I'm going to click on adjust harvest. And I'm going to, let's say, delete one of the ones that I just approved. There's even records of the ones that are denied too. So like here, this one that was a test tracker was denied, but you can still see the record for it. And you can still click on it and see that this one is mostly blank, but you can get the idea though. So let me go back here. So let's just say this one at the top here I just approved. I made a mistake and I need to delete it after all. So I'm going to click on the tracker, and trackers all have IDs next to them. So if you're in contact with your users, you can use these IDs. These are unique to the trackers. Each tracker, I'm going to click on the tracker itself, scroll down to the bottom, and then I'm going to hit delete tracker.
I do have a question from Carl.
Okay,
but
well,
Carl,
give me
yeah,
just a minute. And so then if you go back to then the organizations tab, then and the activity for that organization, you'll see now that it's deleted, marked as deleted. Okay. Carl has a question. So
he was saying, does the RI lead or the moderator approve the submissions to the activity trackers for us? Just wondering if I add our team members and have them submit their activities to the, it's really, you're submitting activity trackers, right? So the question was, will I as a sub approve them, and then you, the RI, approves? So like, is there two approvals, or is there like one?
There's one. So in this Just Harvest organization, let's just make one person not an administrator here. So for any organization, the person who moderates the trackers has to be one of the administrators for this actual organization. So even though this is paired with Illinois Action for Children, the person who moderates is either, in this case would be me, or this user here. And this user is actually a user for the parent RI organization. So in this case, the moderator would be the RI user who is joined to the sub organization. It's up to every RI does a little differently. Some have a more active role where maybe the one user for from the RI moderates all of their subs trackers, and some there's maybe one person within the sub organization who moderates the trackers. It really is up to you and your RI. You need to, it's up to your RI and how they want to handle that.
But the platform allows for either situation.
Yep. And so like in this case, it'd be two users with moderation for this group. And so they can both do it. It only happens once. If like I approve the tracker here, then this user would see it disappear from their feed.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a few more. Oh, okay. Let's see. Ivy, who does a question?
Yeah, that I confirmed. That's correct.
Yes. Okay. So those are the main moderation things. And I will just briefly touch on this one issue before I move on to the goals and those other issues. So one thing that you can use the platform to is to get the results, and I'll briefly touch on this. So if you want to see the results, you click on activity results, and this would be how you create the monthly reports. So you need to make sure the date ranges are correct on here. Actually, we'll first select the organization. In this case, adjust harvest is fine. I'm going to say I want to see just June data. I'm going to set it to June 1st to June 30th. Official results will show you what gets put on the IDHS trackers. And so there's only, since this is not a live version, there's not many results, just what I created earlier. And if you want to see the unofficial results, which includes all the results, even ones that IDHS does not require you to report on, I'm going to deselect this, and then you'll see the questions from the surveys here, and then the totals for them. And you can download these all too. So at the top here, I'm not going to do it now. If you click on this, you'll get an Excel table. And so if you have the official results on, you'll get basically the same shorter table when you download. And then if you're an RI, I think you all know this, but I'll say it while I'm here. If you click on this, add sub-results if applicable, it'll show all the results. Let me just put in an RI here. Since I'm an administrator for the platform, then it's allowing me to put in see every organization. Normally, we would only see the organizations you're linked to, but let me just say habilitative. So you'll see the numbers change. Oh yeah, and there's no data here, actually, since it's not live. But if I went to the live version of the platform, you would see those numbers change as I selected and deselected these. Okay, and so
essentially you can select which subs you want to see a report of. If you are an RI and you have different subs,
yep.
You can make a report for all of your subs or for the.
Yeah, that's with this button. And then if you want to see just like rather than like habilitate, you could enter like one of your subs here on this thing, on this pull down menu, type in a name and then search for it. Oh, okay. Can I ask a question? Oh, I think you may have just answered it. HSI has other rows that other subrecipients are required to report. If a subrecipient wants to print a report, she should. Right,
they shouldn't check the official report.
Right.
Right, because if they check the official report, if they're additional to the standard IDHS report, it won't show up. So you would have to do the unofficial one. But she's asking also that she shouldn't add sub results if they're only doing themselves. So HSI?
Yeah, that's Habilitative Systems Incorporated.
Right.
And for them. Yeah, let's say you had a goal for one of these other things that's not one of the standard things, like I don't think flyers hinted out is one of them, but you could be any one of these other things, and you could get it from unofficial results.
So she's got here interacting with churches, for example, right? So yes, if that's not part of the IDHS official report, what you need to do is click that off so that it will print everything, and then you can find it from there and put it in your own customized form to IDHS.
If you did have a much more specific goal, like we don't have a way to directly report on if an activity happened at a church, but what you could do though is I'm going to click on Organizations tab, and I'm going to click on Adjust Harvest, and this will just give you a few results. But if you scroll down from here, the One Activity tab, you'll see all of the different, these downloads will have the results for each kind.
Right, so you can download by type of activity. And so whichever includes the church, interacting with churches, if it's direct engagement, that's what you would download.
Yeah, there's not much here that you can see though, but you could use these with the date ranges here. So this is the start of the activity that's reported, end of the activity that's reported. So you can use these to filter through and look at maybe the locations to get more information like that. And Mario, this is being recorded. Okay, and so moving on to the goals, dashboards.
Hold on. Patricia has another question. Can we rearrange our subrecipient names to place them in alphabetical order? I thought they were.
Hold on.
Organizations?
Let me check.
No?
Let me go to the live version of the site just to see, because there'll be more data there. And so,
that is something that if it's not there, I could have sworn they were. I mean, here they are, but
yeah. So let's just activity. Let's go to habilitative. And I'll just say, like, if you wanted to do May, just for simplicity, just so we have like real results in there.
No, but they want to see their organizations. Oh, they're in the order created and added.
Okay.
Can you show a list of subs?
Yeah, let me just look in, because there's the listing on here when you download it.
Oh, is it on the download?
I think it's alphabetic here, but then if on organizations tab, I think there it is actually in order created. But hold on. Oh, okay. These are not alphabetical.
Yeah, but also under organization tab says, Patricia, can you check that?
Yeah.
Just very quickly.
So I'm going to click on associations.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
okay.
they're the order created.
So let me see what we can do. Let me see what we can do. And you want them, so you want them like that on the organizations tab?
Or the downloads?
Yeah, and then what about the download of the report as well? Okay, got you. Let me see what I can do. I'll send an email right now to check what we can do. And yeah, continue, Dean.
Okay, so let me go back to the non-live version of the site first, because I'm going to start for all these tabs. Okay. So for goals, to create goals for the organization, you have to click on the organizations tab, and then you have to click on the name of the organization. So I'm going to do adjust harvest again, then click on the goals tab. And so here you'll see a goal. So I created this like a simple goal. If you want to create a new goal, you would click on set a goal. And these map directly with the questions on a survey. So we don't have like one's like flyers handed anywhere. You'd have to specify like the exact type of activity. So if you want to have like flyers handed out while door knocking, that's one. Flyers handed out while canvassing, that's a different one. You could total these up, but we don't have like one where it's just flyers handed out generically anywhere. So if you specify the activity, then you create the name here. Let's just say flyers handed out door knocking. You have to set a date range for the activity. So let's say you want it for maybe just like June, or maybe it's for the next period. Let's say July 1st, and then through like maybe even for like the first 2 months in a new period. So let's say July 1st through October 31st. Then you have to set a target goal. So let's say you want to hand out like 1,000 flyers, and then you can have it be like the goal shown as a number or as a percent. I'm just going to maybe pick percent here. And then if you're setting the goal for an RI, you have this option to count sub-organizations for this goal. So this wouldn't be applicable for just like, in this case, a Just Harvest, but if it were the parent organization, then this would be applicable. So then I'm gonna create the goal. It would show up with nothing on for now. It takes a few minutes for the data to populate. And then the goals will show up like here on the right-hand side. Let me just actually refresh the page and go back to it. Yeah, it will take a few minutes though to appear. But this other one I would set here, it's showing 0. I created some, but that's what I do. We'll go to the platform and show you a live example though in a minute. Another thing you can customize here is this dashboard. And so if you click on, and this dashboard is designed just to give you a quick snapshot of only the activity that you yourself have entered and had approved. So I'm going to click on choose data here, and then you can choose between the types of different kinds of activities. In this case, I created some trackers, so there'd be something to show here. Let's see. Hold on 1 minute. There's a noise in the background. So let's say you want to see canvassing information, or you could check that. Maybe that's too much here. I'm just going to turn on 2 of these, and then you'll see this change. And you can have it show like weekly data points on these graphs, or you can have it be daily. And since there's only a few trackers that I created for these to show, you're only going to see 2 points here. And other things, and again, on the bottom here, the activities will just be a quick summary of different kinds of activities that you've entered recently in the past month. The same with this dashboard too. This will go through just the 4 previous weeks. And you can also see a snapshot of your whole organization now. If you click on Organizations tab, click on a name again, and then click on Analytics tab here, you will see a view of the whole organization and what
you read Maggie's mind. She was just posting, does this show only mine as a user or the whole sub activity?
Right, so the dashboard is just yours, but here, this will show you the organization. And so you can select the options here. And there's another one, yeah, both of these different views. So those are the main ways to customize these views to see what you're doing. Maggie, do you have, oh, Maggie, does this make sense so far? I think we're actually near the end of what we had prepared for today, since we went over the goals. And if you're not seeing anything populate for the goals, like I said, it takes between 5 and 10 minutes. So even though I create a new one, it'll take some time for it to show up. Oh, and one other thing too, I think we got a question during, so I didn't answer it fully. You can change notifications, like if you get them over email or just on the site. So I'm going to click on this bell in the corner. So you'll see a lot of notifications. Actually, if you click on here, your name, where is it? So even I lose track sometimes, but there's a way to okay, here we go. On the notifications tab, let me go to the dashboard. If you click on notifications and then click on preferences, you can change what you see. So if I don't want to get any actual emails anymore about these, I can turn them off. Or if you want to see them, or if you do, you can turn them back on. And so the email, you'll get a separate message outside the platform. This will control if you get the notification within a platform. So you might not always want to see and get an email if there's a new thing, but if you're maybe a small organization, maybe you do. But if you're someone like Pat who has hundreds of, well, I don't hundreds, but you have dozens of subs, you might not want an email every single time someone submits a tracker. So any other questions about this right now?
We'll just give them a minute.
Maggie, if you want, you can
Oh, yeah, Patricia.
too. Okay.
Currently, when approving activity trackers, you must click on each page. You must click on each, is there a way to be able to jump from one page to another?
Not directly, but let me go to the dashboard but what you can do though, actually, I don't have any options here anymore. But what you can do is, let me just go to the organization and click on activity results. If you want to see multiple tabs, so you can just like open them in a new like multiple tracks, you can click on them in a new tab. And
right. And so then you just click on them.
Right, so then you don't lose your place though. That might be easier to do, or a new window from here.
She says in the moderation view.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have any things to do. I could log in as you if you want, though. If you want to see your view, for example, I could stop sharing screens for a minute. Okay, I'm going to turn off my screen share for a minute. I'll log in as you, Pat, and then I'll turn it right back on. So hold on while I stop the share. And this is just to make sure that like we're not showing anyone's data in any way.
Yes, especially since this will be posted on the website, so we don't want all the world to know.
Just a minute. Oh, and that needs to be on the live site too, not the developer one. So, all right, almost there. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again now. Okay, so Pat, this is what you normally will see. And I lost the chat screen, so.
I got it, don't worry.
Okay, so I'm gonna click on a moderation tab now. And so if you want to, you can open using a new tab here. So like, I'm just gonna click on this then. I'm not gonna do anything to you, don't worry. But this is something you could like look at them maybe in bulk, like maybe they like open up a few at a time. I don't know if this is helpful or not, Pat, but we don't have a way you can just like cycle through, like press a button and see the next one.
No, she's not. She's saying, please look at the full list of approved, because she says she's not explaining it well. Look at the full list of approved.
Okay. Do you have an organization in particular you're wondering about?
Accepted. She's saying like, look at the accepted.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You should be able to, okay, you should be able to still click on these this way. For some reason, my chat is not showing. Oh, there was, I got it. Okay. Pat, I'm going to unmute you. This might be a little quicker. I can find you on this list.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. So,
no problem.
And thank you guys so much for providing this training. This has been extremely helpful for me.
Great.
Little frustrations, but since I have you guys on the phone, I thought I'd just ask you to see some way, or maybe I'm overlooking a way to do this. So when I'm looking at the full list of accepted, and if I wanted to just scroll through the pages to see who has done what, you see I've got 57 pages. There's no way to jump to, say, page 2.
I see.
I understand now what you're
yeah,
saying.
now I do. Right, because
Okay.
you want to go to the back. That way you have to manually.
I got you. Okay,
time. Page
yes.
Yeah,
okay.
You have a lot of activity.
I get you. Okay, so that should be an easy fix. Let me send another email.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no, thanks for raising this. This is why we do these too. So it's not just us sharing things with you, but you also sharing things with us that can make this, even more usable and useful for you. So
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right,
Okay.
that's great. So like for me, when I'm scrolling through this, I never have 57 things to scroll through.
Right. Another.
Okay.
Okay.
And if anybody has any other suggestions like that, we can see what we can do too. You can type it in the chat now, or you can contact us. And actually, let me again show you how to do, how you can contact us. So I've still logged in as Pat, but you'll see the same thing. So you would click on support, the support tab, and if you click on a button here, it'll open it up in Outlook, or you can just email us directly, support@mapptheaccount.zendesk.com. And if you email to that rather than just like me or Moira, then it ensures that one member of our team will answer it. Because especially coming up, we'll have some vacations. And so if you email me, even though I normally answer them, I might not be there that day for some reason.
Yeah.
And then also on our website, you can contact us through there too. So let me just go to the main page again, contacts tab at the top. And then here, if you have platform support checked, and then enter this information and then hit send, it'll go to our inboxes too. Oh, it looks like we have someone waiting again. Let's see.
Yeah, no, I did sign them in, Linda.
So we had any more questions about what we've covered today? I know we still have another question for Carl we'll get to, but before we move on to broader issues, so questions about like onboarding people or managing users or these goals. Okay, Crispina says, okay, so right now we just have the guide for social, including social distancing. So we will probably update this next week or the week after. Let's see. So that outreach guide here. So we have been adding some things as we get questions. Like I'll have another one to add probably tomorrow, but we haven't added all the activities that will, things like door knocking, because until now we haven't really been able to do much of those. So we will have them in here again.
And then
definitely well before the next reporting deadline, and probably within the first week of the new phase.
Crispina's asking, how will we know?
We can let you know. How about with that? We can email you.
Yeah, well, generally when we make like big updates and things like that, we do let people know. We send an email.
Yeah, we don't always let you know about a small change. Like if it's something like updating the pages that Pat was asking about, we might just like contact her. But if it's
no, that one is I think that's a big change or an important change when there are like new features in the platform. Yeah, we'll definitely let you know. The reporting, like like this crosswalk is something that hasn't really been changed that much. But whenever we make like big changes that are important, we will send emails out and notify everybody. There was a question also about the data for FY20. It will not disappear. No data will disappear ever, at least for the next 10 years. So the data will stay there. That's the plan, and it will, you'll be able to distinguish what is from FY20 from FY21 because you can select dates. But everything will stay on the platform.
Mm-hmm. And about the dates too, let me just go to the platform again. I'll go to the live version too. So if you're trying to download the reports, let's see, active results. Activity results. Okay, this is what I want. So trackers will show up and will populate this data at the bottom if it has the end date within the date range. So as long as you keep have the activity dates within a tracker, not crossover between FY1 and 20 and 21, then that'll be completely clear. And it's also the end of the month too. So there's very few times when we've seen trackers where like someone has a report that straddles like a month deadline, because for IDHS, we need to report what happened just within the calendar month. And so people have been doing that already, where they're not like having many trackers that will go for weeks at a time or months or something like that. And so the data is good already.
Okay, so then what happens if they do cross the FY timeline?
Well, the end date, if the end date is in the new period, then it would show up as an FY21 activity. So maybe that's something we can clarify in an email too, to remind people about. Just like this should be doing anyway, just for monthly reporting too. Let me make a note.
Yeah, that's something that we should ask IDHS, like how to report that, if it's like an activity that takes, that goes through, spans through the starts before July 1st and continues to after. When should they report it?
Mm-hmm. But in general, you probably would want to just have even like a social media post where it's like full month.
Yeah, usually we post those things, or what IDHS has recommended is to post at the end. So if you post at the end, then it would be in FY21, like Dean was saying.
Right, like if you have like a social media post and reporting numbers for June, you would have the end date be June 30th, and so then that would be all within FY20.
Right. Yes, exactly. Mike, you're correct.
Okay, any other questions before we switch to the maps and open up to questions about that, and also answer?
It is 4:58 though. I don't know. I think that people might be a little bit tired unless there are specific questions about mapping or other things.
Yeah, we had the one question, but like, yeah, this is a good time to wrap up, I think, though, to switch toward more question and answer, more of a help desk for some time. So I think just for purposes of the video, we'll end it here. And then we can stay on for
Specific questions people might have.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone who came today. We appreciate your feedback. And as you know, there'll be a few changes as a result of your questions. So you'll hear from us soon about those.
Thank you, everybody.
We are